everyone. What a beautiful theater. This is really great. I'm really excited to be here today. Does anybody here recognize this image? Yes? What is it? Okay, now I've dated the audience. Thank you very much. So, on March 14th, 2013, I experienced a Thelma and Louise moment. Prior to that date, I spent the last 15 plus years as CEO and founder of Hot Studio, a large experience design company that's located in San Francisco and New York City. Early this year, Facebook reached out to Hot Studio and offered to acquire the talented people behind the company. Now, if I were afraid of the uncertainty and risk in giving up a really successful company, which was my life's work, I would have respectfully declined. Instead, I trusted my intuition, I took a huge risk, and I disrupted the status quo. I drove off that cliff, sold Hot Studio, and joined Facebook along with many of my now former employees. That is the act of a DEO, a creative business leader who is distinctly different from a traditional business leader. They're uniquely qualified to solve today's most wicked problems. Today, we'll explore the qualities that set creative leaders apart. I'll introduce you to today's role models and rule breakers, and I'll discuss the principles that you can apply in your everyday life so you can live the life of a DEO too. So, before we begin, let's warm this crowd up a little bit. I don't know if I can follow vegetables, but I got to keep the momentum going. In this audience, who here defines themselves as creative? Okay, about 60%. Who here defines themselves as a leader? Okay. Now, who here is a risk taker? Lots of risk takers here. That's good to know. Okay. Let's take a risk. Everybody stand up. Now, you're probably sitting next to somebody you know. What I want you to do is to turn around, not yet, and introduce yourself to somebody new. What I'd like you to do is I want you to look that person right in the eye, tell him and her, or her and him and her, your name, what you do for a living, and then I want you to give them a big, heartfelt hug. 10 seconds. No, not yet, not yet. I know you guys are huggers. I know you're huggers. I could tell, I could feel it. I don't want any wimpy hugs, okay? I want you to hug it out. I want you to hug it like you mean it. Okay, you ready? Where's Dave? Come on out, Dave. Okay, ready? Turn around, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay.
That was awesome.
All right. How did that feel? Awesome? You guys are huggers. Creepy? No, not creepy? All right, good. Okay, scientific research has shown that 4 hugs a day by someone you care about can prevent depression. 8 hugs a day can maintain yourself at a strong emotional level. If you're really into it, 12 hugs a day enable you to grow to become a better person. So congratulations. You just took the first step as a DEO. The success of all businesses lie in its people and how we can make powerful, meaningful connections to one another. It doesn't matter how many awards we've won, what our job title says, how many years we've been working in business. We are all peers here. And when people feel like they're treated as equals, that's when great things can happen. And being an equal starts with you feeling like one as well. Focus on being present. Look at people right in their eyes and listen. And meet people right where they are in life. That's me without the blue, purple hair. I grew up in Staten Island, New York. Woot, woot. Here's a picture of me at 5 years old. Underneath that silver fake Christmas tree that rotated to Silent Night, you can see that Santa bought me an Artomatic spin art kit. I loved that kit so much. I loved the half bodies. It's beautiful, great design work. For as long as I could remember, I wanted to grow up to be a famous artist. It was never a question in my mind. It was my destiny. My entrepreneurial life began at a very young age. When I was about 15, I made a pretty good living as a dog portrait painter. I'd get $25 for a painting, plus the cost of the frame. In high school, I painted jean jackets for $100 a piece. At the same time, I would babysit, essentially doubling my hourly rate. I didn't know it at the time, but I was a very smart businesswoman. After graduating college at the Cooper Union School of Art, I got a job right away and began my career as a graphic designer working for the Understanding business. Now, being labeled as a designer has had huge drawbacks. When a person asks me or any other designers what they do for a living, the answer never really rolls off the tongue. How many people are designers here? Can you feel me? Yeah. I'd say something abstract, like, we bring great ideas to life. And then they'd look at me kind of perplexed, like, do you design posters? And I say, I don't design posters all the time. I'll pause and then I'll say, we design digital products and services that people love to use. And then they're like, websites? So I resigned myself defeated by saying yes, knowing full well that is not the complete picture of what a designer does. Just like every other designer I know, I shot myself in the foot once again. So part of this misperception is our own fault. The Random House definition of designer doesn't do us any favors. We are defined as makers of artifacts, or worse still, people who like to make things pretty, or a term that I affectionately like to refer to as aesthetic masturbation. Or even worse, schemers or evil plotters. No wonder designers don't seem to get any respect in this world. In 1991, I set out on my own as a freelance designer. I kept getting busier, so I hired people to help. Before I knew it, I accidentally founded a company. In 1997, which my then boyfriend, now husband, named Hot Studio. That's a story I can tell you much later on over drinks. A more accurate title for me is Designer CEO, or DEO, a creative leader who places the value of design at the center of the company. The DEO is not necessarily a trained designer. They come from all disciplines and industries. They are business leaders and social innovators. They're government leaders and artists. And I bet there are quite a few DEOs in this audience. You just don't realize it yet. A DEO, or a Design Executive Officer, is a combination of a strategic business executive and a creative problem solver. The DEO looks at all business problems as design problems, solvable through the right mix of imagination and metrics. They are catalysts for transformation and agents of cultural change. Acumen Fund's Jacqueline Novogratz is a DEO who is redefining the way poverty can be solved around the world. Creative business leaders like her possess special superpowers over traditional business leaders that are both unique in nature and powerful in practice. They are change agents who disrupt the status quo by thinking outside of the box versus fear of ever leaving the box. They think in systems and have the ability to solve wickedly complex problems versus solving problems linearly, one at a time. They have deep empathy for people by focusing on creating meaningful and relevant experiences versus simply closing a deal or selling a product. They embrace smart risk versus avoiding, mitigating, or running from risk. And they're driven by curiosity, imagination, and intuition. Passion fuels the work. They are committed to excellence and craft. And more importantly, they know they have this: get shit done. They know how to get shit done. They have the urgency and focus to get things done, get it done right, and get it done better than anyone else. It's in their DNA. And it's the type of qualities we need to solve the big problems that we're facing today. Good news! According to a 2010 survey of CEOs, creativity is identified as the most important leadership skill for successful businesses of the future. We can applaud that, right? Yeah, okay. Business leaders around the world are declaring that success requires fresh thinking and continuous innovation at all levels of the organization. Businesses have flourished in companies in which design leaders are operating at the CEO or DEO level. According to the Designers Fund, designer founders featured here have had successful businesses that have been acquired for a combined total of billions and billions of dollars. Just recently, the most recent acquisition of design-led Tumblr was rumored to be acquired for $1.1 billion alone. Suddenly sounds pretty good to be a designer. So, let's discuss how we can put these design superpowers into action. Incidentally, DEO Stephen Colbert says, if I could have one superpower, it would be the power to have 3 superpowers. I'm going to give you 5. Emily Pillaton knows how design can change the world. She's a high school teacher, an industrial designer, a builder, and a world changer. She founded Project H, a nonprofit that connects the power of design to the people who need it most. Like Emily, the very first thing we need to do is change our mindset from design being thought of as an expense on a balance sheet to an investment in the future. Design is not a noun. Design is an active verb. And it's really about all of these things. Participate, listen, reinvent, ideate, facilitate, co-create, translate, instigate, innovate, communicate, negotiate, observe, partner. Design is about change. From producers of artifacts to champions of a connected society. 2, live in people's shoes. Kate Storr and Cameron Sinclair are co-founders of Architecture for Humanity. Collectively, they've changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people around the world, designing and building structures to restore communities in need. The structures they design are important, but what they really care about are the people they serve. In 2007, Hot Studio worked with Architecture for Humanity to design the Open Architecture Network, a large digital platform that connects architects and designers around the world to collaborate on humanitarian-based projects. Initially, we sat in an office and spent many, many hours doing research and speaking to people around the world on the phone. It wasn't until we slept on the floor of a church in Biloxi, Mississippi, with hundreds of other volunteers, when we really understood that what the pain that people went through from Hurricane Katrina. And these images of despair we're seeing way too often these days. However, through this despair, we also get to witness incredible glimmers of hope. True community forms when the perceived system of support breaks down. In Biloxi, we got to witness firsthand the kindness of strangers and volunteers. People from all over the world, young and old, came together to volunteer to help the people of Biloxi rebuild. It inspired us to see how communities can rise up and come together and help rebuild people's lives when they need it the most. By living in people's shoes, your employees, your customers, and your community, you can look for innovative solutions in the white spaces that don't exist in focus groups in a conference room with two-way mirrors. As DEO, you need to have empathy and care deeply for all people, their cultures, and the desire to help improve people's lives. Number 3, we, not me. Bill Clinton knows how to get shit done. By bringing together a diverse group of committed participants, the Clinton Global Initiative is currently improving the lives of nearly 400 million people in more than 200 countries. He understands the incredible power of we. We are no longer in the culture of me, that lone rock star in the corner, recognizing people solely for individual contribution. Instead, we live in the we. So businesses need to create a culture of collaboration, cooperation, and teamwork. The best ideas and solutions to global problems come from a multidisciplinary team effort where everyone feels like they've contributed to the design process. More brains, more ideas, better solutions. One way to embrace the power of we is to celebrate diversity of opinion and levels of experience. A 2005 study from Stanford asks, what determines the success of a Broadway musical? I'm sure some of you in the audience probably question that as well. First, the group needs to be diverse, including a balanced ratio of rookies to experienced participants. Second, the experienced performers need to be willing to embrace the new performers' ideas and break from the familiar. That's how you can see cats more than once. These two guidelines together create a culture of collaboration that feeds off of one another, much like jazz musicians improvising together. Number 4, champion creative culture and have some fun. Recent research on companies point to one common denominator. Creating the right culture is the key to success. And it could start with you right at your desk. Provide an environment that encourages and rewards creativity in others. Break down the formal structures that keep people apart. Tear down those cubicle walls. Creativity and innovation need to be baked into the culture from the top down and the bottom up. You know, everybody's born creative. It just gets beaten out of us at an early age, around 4th grade. And in order to get the best ideas out of teams, make it fun to come to work every day. Now, I love this research, because if you've ever been told that your desk is too messy, this is your moment to shine. A report just published found that a cluttered workspace can actually enhance problem-solving skills and boost efficiency. Thank you. I keep reminding my mother that, and friends, and my husband. Good ideas are messy, so promote creative chaos. Write on walls and tables and windows. Don't have writable surfaces? Use these giant Post-it pads and bring them to meetings. I encourage everyone in this room to go topless now. Does anybody know what that means? Nobody wants to define topless here? Laptopless. Go laptopless in meetings and take notes publicly. It helps you listen more attentively, and your team collaborators can see that they've been heard. It changes the dynamic of the room. I promise you. So now I work at Facebook, a place that celebrates moving fast and being bold. There are posters taped to the walls everywhere, such as, "What would you do if you weren't afraid?" But this one is my favorite. This journey is 1% finished. In order to build an innovative culture, you have to keep the company in a constant state of iteration and invention. Solicit feedback continuously. Ask regularly, how can I do better? How am I doing today? It takes personal courage and vulnerability to throw out wild ideas. Be empowered to be wrong. Embrace failure as a way of learning and be empowered to change your mind. Early failures lead to course correction, new discoveries, and new directions. So, in order to solve the world's problems, we need to think like designers, feel like designers, and work like designers. But here is the great news. There is a designer in every one of you. Open your eyes wide, be courageous, and touch people's hearts and minds. Help us work together as a team, a party of equals, to solve the world's most complex problems. Help us build a better future for our children. We can do this as creative business leaders and as designers and as DEOs. Finally, lead by example and be your authentic you. Don't be afraid to show who you really are. Have the courage to think differently. Have the confidence to be different. If this girl from Staten Island with the funny accent and the high hair can do it, you can too. So begin right now. You be the champion or find an advocate. Be committed to change and take one small step at a time. These are skills that are learned over time. Take baby steps, but start right now. So bring out your inner DEO and help us build the next generation of creative leaders. To quote the great DEO Lady Gaga, "You are all born superstars. Go and find your own stage." So tonight at the party, introduce yourself to someone new and give them a big, long hug. Thanks very much.